Christmas is a time of year for many families when they get the opportunity to play more music together. There's a lot more family around at home, and students are playing for grannies and uncles and granddads and long friends from far away and all sorts of things. And Christmas carols are just a great thing for them to be able to experience together because everyone recognizes it, and students love having people be able to sing along and recognize what they're playing, and it's a great experience overall. So in this video, I want to share with you some of my favorite Christmas books for students at a range of levels. Now I've got a lot of books here, so I'm going to go through each briefly to give you a taste of them to see whether they might be right for you and your students. So briefly, the ones I have here are The Joy of Christmas, that's from Piano Safari. And then I have two books from Piano Adventures World, which are duet books called Duet Time. And then I also have a whole load of Piano Pronto books, which I love for Christmas music. So we've got Holiday Classics, Christmas Together, Christmas Classics, A Rockin' Christmas, The Nutcracker, and Jazzy Jingles. So we're going to go through all of those one by one as quickly as I can to give you a taste of each one. First of all, let me just give you a flavour of why I like each of these books and why they made it onto the stand right here, even though I have even more than this up there and different options that I use sometimes. So the first one, The Joy of Christmas, this is fantastic for beginners, particularly beginners in Piano Safari, because it uses notation that they'll be familiar with and ways of playing that they'll be familiar with. There are bits and pieces of them that you might have to teach to some students by rote, but the real magic of these is in the teacher duet parts. The teacher duet parts are jazzy and fun and challenging in parts for the teacher, I'll have to say, and definitely really interesting to play together. So they come, all of the pieces are student solo, teacher duet part in the secundo. Then we've got Holiday Classics. This is one I come to more than any other. The thing that's special about it is that there are 3 levels of each piece. It's great for beginners. So Christmas is a time when I'm okay with students cheating a bit. So even if they're reading music in one way, or even if they haven't met the staff yet, they can play pieces from Holiday Classics that use the note names in the note heads, and I'm totally fine with that. Even though they don't read that way normally, it's fine for a few pieces for Christmas. So that is the way that Holiday Classics works. There's the note names in the note heads, and then there's the version without, which is a little bit more challenging, and then there's a version with a little bit more harmony. They're all at a beginner level though, so a student can level up through the 3 different versions of the piece. Then you've got 2 duet books here, which are called Duet Time. These are from Faber Piano Adventures, and they're just great duet arrangements. I really enjoy having my buddy students work on them, and the more duet options I have in my studio, the better as far as I'm concerned. The other duet book I have here is called Christmas Together. This is another Piano Pronto one, and it's easy and evenly leveled. All 3 of these are evenly leveled, which means they're great for student and student, which is something that can be hard to find. Then we've got Christmas Classics. This is if you have a student who just wants to play classic, beautiful arrangements at an intermediate level. That's a great one for them. I think this would be really super for a student who, maybe a teen who's going to play at a Christmas party, maybe friend or family is paying them a few quid to play in the background. They could just play that whole book. That would be an awesome project for them. Then we've got A Rockin' Christmas, which is newer to me, but I think is really fun. It's exactly as it sounds. It's a rockin' version of Christmas, and for the right student, I think that can be awesome. The Nutcracker, because that's my special favorite, and I love that Piano Pronto has a full arrangement of the Nutcracker suite, basically, for piano. And then we have a Jazzy Jingles, which is a Jennifer Eklund jazzified version of several different pieces. So let's dive into each one of these books, and I'll give you a taste of them with a little excerpt. We'll start with The Joy of Christmas. This is the Piano Safari one, and we're going to look at Silent Night, which is right around the middle of this book. So it starts with a 4-bar or 4-measure intro from the teacher, I'm not going to attempt to play both parts at the same time, but to give you a flavour of the teacher duet. So it's nice, rich harmonies, beautiful chords. Definitely listen to the versions put together. As I say, I'm not going to attempt to play both. I want to give you a flavour of the student part because that's what's most important, really. So this is the arrangement they've gone with. We've got thumbs side by side in a position that they won't have been in Piano Safari, but that shouldn't bother them too much. Okay, so you see, I mean, apart from the one that I destroyed there because of the page turn, I was thinking about the fact that, oh my gosh, this is a new book, the page isn't going to turn. Anyway, so I kind of messed up that rhythm there because I was thinking about my page turning, but you saw the few embellishments in there. So it's not just peace, it's peace. And then again there, in peace. So that's beautiful. When students are playing alone, I have them leave out that last part that I did put in. There's 3 bars of rest where the teacher's playing, and then that's the little embellishment on the end, which sounds great in the duet. I leave it out when they're doing it as a solo. So that is The Joy of Christmas from Piano Safari. Wonderful arrangements in there, really nice teacher duets. Next up we have Holiday Classics. This is the multi-level book from Jennifer Eklund, and as I said, it's one that I use again and again and again. So you have a version with the note heads in it, then you have a version without the note heads, and then, not without the note heads, without the letters in the note heads or without some of them, and then a version with a little bit more left hand. That's normally the format that it goes through. For the most part. There's actually 2 volumes of this, I believe now, so you do have different options. I'm avoiding Jingle Bells as I'm recording this. So what shall we play? We'll play Oh Come All You Faithful. So this is the level 3 arrangement, just to give you a sense of where it's progressing to. The level 1 will be simplified and the 2 in the middle. Excuse me skipping the repeat there, but that gives you a sense of it. So there is a little bit of flavour added in there. It's absolutely not plain vanilla on the level 3 version, or the version 3 rather, but it's nothing too dressed up, too fancy, very much within the reach of beginner students. So next we have the duet time books. I'm not going to go through both, they're very similar. This is the level 1, the level 2 is obviously just a little bit more challenging, but similar style. This is Pada Pan, which I had a couple of students play last year. So I'll play the intro of the secondo and then we'll see where we go from there. that's just to give you a sense because I'm reading both parts, which is something I don't often have to do. But yeah, they have nice things like Pat Pan in there. What was the other? While I see that actually, in this book and in others, we have Away in a Manger. I just wanted to note this to those of you who are like me on this side of the Atlantic. If you're used to Away in the Manger sounding one way, you might be just surprised to discover that the US version is totally different tune entirely. So I'd say it's especially relevant to Ireland and the UK. Away in a Manger in an American book will be a completely different piece and your students won't recognize it. Still perfectly fine to do, but you know, Christmas music, a lot of the point is that it's recognizable, so do note that. So all of those arrangements are really great. They're lovely and evenly leveled, and you got the level 1 and the level 2 version there. Okay, our next one is another duet book. This is Christmas Together. It's another evenly leveled holiday duets book. Now this one is probably, I would gauge it at being slightly between the two duet time books I just showed you. So it's still like a beginner, late beginner kind of level of book. It has Ukrainian Bell Carol, which is often one of students' favourites. God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, lots of other classics. Here We Come a-Caroling, Pat Pan again. Ukrainian Bell Carol is as you would expect it to be. These aren't, you know, jazzed up arrangements or anything. They're quite true to what you would expect them to sound like. So the secundo starts and the primo will be up here. So the secundo would be doing it as... Changed my mind halfway through there because that gives you a better sense of the actual leveling, which is probably more useful for you. And then the primo is just playing the melody at the start and then brings in a chord, but they're mostly just tied chords there, so it's nothing too challenging. Of course, the biggest challenge in any duet book is to play them exactly in time with each other, so I always like my duets to be slightly on the easier side versus what the student is playing as solo repertoire. Okay, our next few options are more intermediate. Those were more my beginner selection. Then we got intermediate options. So this is Christmas Classics. This is the one I mentioned, which is, I mean, they're beautiful arrangements, but it's nothing too wild, nothing too out there. And this would be a great one to do for a student who wants to play a gig at a Christmas party, something like that. Jennifer has included some maybe lesser known pieces in this. So for instance, we have the medley here, which is Gesù Bambino and Bring the Torch, Jeanette Isabella. So it's not going to be all thoroughly familiar, although there are classics in there, but there's some really more sophisticated, I guess, arrangements in here as well. I don't know if you'll recognize that or not. I just wanted to play an excerpt to give you a sense of that piece in case you recognize it from those few moments. But gorgeous arrangements there. You really can't go wrong with that book. The next one is new to me. This is A Rockin' Christmas, and I think it's going to be a fun addition to the studio, so I wanted to give it a mention in here. For instance, this first one is Rock On Merry Gentlemen, or sorry, the one that I've opened to here is Rock On Merry Gentlemen, which is super fun. Super fun, right? I mean, I love a good Merry Gentleman in general. It's one of my faves, but I think this is a really fun take on it. I think this would be a great one to explore with your students who need something fresh and even more impressive at this time of year. Okay, second last one. I know this is a long compilation of a lot of things, but I want to give you some different flavors to choose from. So this is The Nutcracker. And I told you this is basically my favorite thing ever, the Nutcracker. I loved it all my life, basically, since I was a kid. And so I couldn't possibly choose a favorite piece from here, but they are great arrangements, really beautiful. I'll just give you a little start of Waltz of the Flowers. I won't get absorbed into that, I totally could. The Nutcracker, I mean, it would need to be for an enthusiast for sure, or for a special occasion for someone who is an enthusiast of the Nutcracker, say a special birthday, special Christmas for someone who really is a fan and a student wants to prepare something special for them. Last one then is Jazzy Jingles. There is actually now a volume 2 of this, which I'm looking forward to exploring, but I haven't yet. But this is a fabulous one for interesting takes on the classics. Again, another one that would be great for cocktail parties, things like that, gigs for young students. So you can hear the richness in that, the beautiful, everything coming through, everything so full, which is something Jennifer Eklund does so well and has applied to Christmas classics here. So with so many to choose from, who is each one suited for? Well, let's start at the end. So Jazzy Jingles, this is for the sophisticated teen or adult, or someone who needs a little bit more of a challenge when it comes to playing by ear. That's certainly how I've used it in the past, to say, tackle this and really impress people rather than just playing your Christmas classics that you already know by ear. Then we have the Nutcracker. Again, as I said, this would be for someone who really loves the Nutcracker. It would be for me. I really bought it because I wanted to play it. So if you have a student who's a fan, that's a great option. Or if they maybe have a granny who loves it, they could play the full thing for them. Then we have a Rockin' Christmas. I think this would be great as an option for, say, if you do Christmas pieces with everyone or with most students in your studio, or if the family really wants them to do Christmas music, but you've got a teen who's just too cool for school, who's just thinking, that's boring, I don't want to do Christmas carols. Give them a Rockin' Christmas, have some fun with it. I think you'll convince them that Christmas is cool. Then we've got Christmas classics, exactly as the name suggests, classical Christmas classics. It's perfect for when you want to play rich arrangements in that lyrical, beautiful style. Then we've got our duet options. If you can bring students together for duets, I think those are always great. I really love all 3 of those books, so just choose based on levels. We've got Christmas Together and the 2 duet time books, all great options for duets. Holiday Classics is perfect for beginners, and the 3 levels help them to up-level there. So really any beginner who wants to play Christmas music, that is great for them. Really good option. Maybe not for your very youngest students, because they wouldn't quite be able to navigate that right at the start of their musical journey, but anyone else, great option for them. And then the Joy of Christmas, perfect for students who are in Piano Safari, or adult beginners who want to play things that sound really sophisticated with that teacher duet. So there's tons of options for you. I'm sure you have favorites too, so make sure to add them into the comments. And if you enjoyed this video and want more great tips and ideas for music teachers, make sure to subscribe to the channel before you head on your way.